So I'm a little overdue posting a video of the different projects that I've been working on lately. This one's going to be for a fire pit right off the edge of my deck. My main goal with this project is to do it as cheaply as possible, so I'm going to be using a lot of pallet wood and reusing a bunch of stuff that I just have laying around. The most expensive thing for this project is going to be the drop-in fire pit, but it's going to be ran off of a propane tank. Let's hop into it. So my first step through all this was to get some pallets, and I went ahead and loaded my truck up with a bunch of them. Hopefully that'll be enough, but what I'm gonna do here is just take a Harbor Freight Sawzall with a metal and wood blade from Home Depot and just go ahead and cut behind each slat, and then after you're done, if you want, you can pop out the nail heads, or you could just leave them in there for the rustic look. So I've got a bunch of pallets cut up now, and a lot of them are wet, so I'm gonna let them dry for a few days while I wait for the rest of the stuff coming in the mail. Now what I need this to be is 57 inches long ways and then 36 inches tall ways. So what I need to do is cut it back about 4 or 6 inches or so from each one of these, and that should give me my 3-foot height that I need. So I've got my wall laid out, and this is pretty much how it's going to go. Pallet wood wasn't long enough, so I'm going to have to join 2 studs together and make it the right length. I am going to be using a 2.5-inch screw to secure them. So there are my 2 uprights. I'm going to have them stand, and then it's going to be wide enough to fit a propane tank inside of, so that way I can run fuel for the fire without it being seen. And all of that is going to sit right in there. Next step, I need to figure out the depth to house the tank properly, along with being able to get it in and out pretty easily. So I cut 4 boards at 16.5 inches, and now I'm going to go ahead and screw this all together and make it one big box. So we've got a built frame for the fireplace. Next step I'm going to do is start working on the mold for the concrete top. I've got a sheet of melamine here in my truck. I'm going to cut it up, and I'm going to make a form to pour the concrete into. Alright, now for the melamine, I'm going to need to measure it 60 inches by 20 inches, but I need to add 3/4 of an inch on every side because we're going to go up with the form about 3 inches to get the depth that we need. So I have this tabletop cut, so now I'm going to go ahead and cut the walls. Alright, so you can kind of see now how I have this set up. What I'm going to go ahead and do is drill from the bottom with drywall screws that are 1 5/8 inch long, and that will secure these walls into place for the concrete to get poured into. And after that, I'll have my width set, so I'll know where to cut the inside boards to make the rest of the mold. Alright, so the form's completely closed now. The tricky part's going to be doing the middle piece where the fire tray is going to drop in. So I'm going to start cutting the form for that. All I'm going to do is just measure the tray and go probably 1/8 of an inch bigger. That way it'll just drop right in once I'm done. So what you just watched me do was throw some blocks in each corner and one in the middle so that this can't move around. Once I pour the concrete, it'll have maybe 1/8 of an inch to wiggle, probably even 1/16 of an inch right now, but once I caulk it, there won't be any issues. Alright, so I tried using that fondant tool to get it to do all that cool stuff that they do in all the how-to concrete videos, and it's not working nearly as well as I wanted it to. So I'm just going to take a screwdriver and scrape away that extra. Alright, so I've got this form all cleaned up, and I could have pulled this way better with my fingers. So my friend was able to give me a hand with that, which made it a lot easier, but I didn't really go in depth on what I was doing while I was doing it. So I'll just give you a quick rundown. All I did was I was mixing the concrete pretty wet because it's a lot easier to work with. And then as I was putting it in there, once I got to a deep enough point, I just wiggled the rebar in there and made sure it wasn't near the surface, or what's going to be the surface. So once I was in there, I just made sure everything was gonna go level. Quick side note, once you get the concrete all in there and set where you want it, go around with some sort of oscillating tool. I used a multi-tool and just went on the sides and on the bottom, and it pushes all the bubbles to the top. You can kind of see some of them that have popped. Another thing I got are these feet for the bottom of the frame, and what it's going to do is it's going to hold it up and off of the ground so that it's not getting wet, because this wood is not pressure treated, so it's not made to be outside in the rain. So hopefully this will prevent it from rotting at all. Alright, the next step is to get that wood on there. I need to make a door right in here though to get the propane in and out, so I'm only going to do this section first. So off camera, I put some sealer all around concrete just to make it a little waterproof, so that if you spill drinks and stuff, it doesn't stain it. I put some of the rocks in there, and before I did all that, I did all the plumbing for it. I'll attach a video that's better than I can explain on how to do all that, but before I put the insert in, I did high temperature silicone all under it just to hold it in place, and I've got the bricks on it right now just to hold it down until it dries. That's what it looks like all backed up. I'm probably going to try and find some weather stripping for up in there for the door, just so that it blends it in a little bit better so there's not that huge gap. But other than that, it's kind of sweet. I was kind of hoping for less bubbles, but it just adds to the effect. It looks kind of cool still. So this is how the fireplace ended up. All I did to finish was I put in some rock, and then I put a little strip to hide the hinges there, and then some locks down there to hold the door shut. But I used this 20-pound glass bag from Amazon. That was the look I wanted to go for. It was about $50, and then underneath it, I put these bigger rocks just so I didn't have to use as much. I just buried them with the glass. As far as the propane, tank just sits under there. You got a regulator, and then it goes to the gas lines up to the fireplace. So you can either stand by it on the one side and put drinks and stuff on it, just hang out, or you could sit on top of the deck and be near it. Pretty happy with how it turned out. If you like this video, be sure to click the like button and subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and I'll be sure to get back to you.